So what I'm saying is that somebody that he lets such a machshava in his head, we have to work, and we all have it. I'm not talking to myself also. That lets in such a machshava in his head that Olam Hazeh is a thing in itself. Is the pshat that means the hester ponim, the place that Hashem made to hide himself, ki biyochel, that he's not there, that's called in some form chola upon, is a thing that it's meant to be like that. It should be like that. It has a chezkiyahu in itself. That's already a bizrayu d'avodah zorah. And it comes out that this day of modern Orthodox is a bizrayu d'avodah zorah, according to what we're saying. Shevna v'siyato. He was a ador. He had thousands of talmidim. He was a big rosh yeshiva. He was a tzaddik also. But
Chizkiyahu picked him.
And Chizkiyahu chose him to be on the memuna on his outros, it says.
Outzer.
He was the outzer. That means he was one of the ministers in Chizkiyahu's government. And this is also a chab. This is like a small point, but it's also a chab. The Gemara says in Chulin, beginning of Chulin, that a king, a Moshe Maksiv al Vashek, called Misharsim of Rishoyim. That means all the Misharsim of the king are like him. And if Chizkiyahu was a tzaddik, so all his Misharsim were also tzaddikim. But since he had this machshov, we're going to make peace with Sancheiriv. And Sancheiriv was a machar from Megadev. And Sancheiriv sent his men to say that I'm going to go klape mal and I'm going to fight against him up there. And that's what the Gemara says. That he said, first I'm going to conquer the world, and then I'm going to go up there. So he says. Could be that puzzle. But it said Sancheiriv said some lashon similar to that. He said a pasuk similar to that. So he says he was a machara from Megadev, and you have a machshava to go out and make peace with him and join with him. That means that you're giving a mokum for such a malchus. Make peace with our rasha like that, with our kofar beikir. This was kfira that he was talking. You want to make peace with him. That means you're allowing a machshavas avodah zorah to enter your mind. So, Eino min aminyan, Hashem revealed this to Chizkiyahu. Mashma, that Chizkiyahu himself didn't know that. The pasuk says, we were asking in the beginning, Lo siachrei rabbim lo rose. So Chizkiyahu couldn't have been that he was a rasha gomer on the outside, because Lo siachrei rabbim lo rose in today's parsha we learned. But he allowed a machshavas avodah zorah to enter his mind, which was the making peace with a machara from Megadev. You could live with such a person. You could allow his words to stay, to be, make it look like you're following it. That's already Eino min aminyan, and Hashem is not there. Hashem is not with him. Hashem is not with him, don't worry about it. But you needed a novi for that. That was what the novi said to Chizkiyahu. And the end was that he had his mapola, and Chizkiyahu he had to stay. I imagine, this is only my imagination, I'm just going to join the listeners with my fantasizing. Shevna v'siyato, he wore a frock, and he wore a hat like a rashiva and a tie, nice like this, and went around sure of himself. I know the pshat. When he said a shir, I imagine he asked a list of kashas, and he said, now I'm going to say the pshat. Chizkiyahu, when he said, this is just I'm imagining. Chizkiyahu, when he said his shir, he says, I think you could say, maybe you could say, I'm suggesting, let's hear what the Olam thinks. And that's how he talked. So he thought, who am I? Where am I? He knows, he's a big rashiva, he's successful. Chizkiyahu also had a lot of Talmud. The whole difference was like in 2 Meturgamans more. Yeah, I don't know how many people every Meturgaman had. It could be every Meturgaman had 10,000 people he talked to. It could be
something
very possible. Could be, but still, I mean, you also have something. That's the problem with all those chas v'sholem to talk psychology of people nowadays on chizkiyahu. We have no musag, we have no idea what it is, what he was. But to learn for ourselves, I would say we should learn something from that. Not to think there's such machshavas. He's sure of himself. He's probably something. We also allow such machshavas to get into our minds. And you see that the main thing is what the Maharsha says. Min ha-minyan. He should be from the minyan. Hashem should be one of that minyan. Rabbeinu says an interesting melitza. He says the lashon that people use, and there's, I don't know if there's any surah. Maybe there is. Maybe it's a lashon haGemara. I think it could be. It doesn't mean Mitzayin. Yochid v'rabim alochi kirabim. Everybody knows that lashon. I think it does come from a Gemara. Why does it say Yochid v'rabim? It should have said mute v'rabim. Here at diuk. I'm impressed from the diuk itself. I'm impressed. But we've heard this thousands of times in our life. We heard this lashon. Never thought of such a thing. It should have said mute v'rabim. What's Yochid v'rabim? So he says it's a rebbe. B'derech Remes, he himself says b'derech Melitza. He says it means Yochid, the real Yochid. V'rabim, if he's with the rabbim, so then halachic rabbim. But if you have a rabbim that they don't have the Yochid with him, the echad, the true echad, so then it's not halachic rabbim. It fits in very good with everything we're saying. Because now, when it comes to Lamaisa, what should you do? Everybody has to answer their goal. I'm not talking about what you should do. Our gdolim, now, when
11:30.
Our gdolim have something to sit in the knesset, and they didn't say kesher rishoyim min, because they held that they're sitting there to fight. They're there, it's a battlefield. The Knesset is a battlefield. So you should say not to go to the battlefield because it's his chabras l'rishoyim. That's what our gedolim held. Rabbeinu held it is his chabras l'rishoyim. Elu ve'elu, divrei Elokim chayim. Everybody should follow his gadol, but I always say it's a sakona. There's a sakona when you forget where you came from. There's a problem that you go to such a place, the house of the minim, the house of the apikarsim, and you sit there, and for a while you keep sitting and sitting for months and years, you forget that you're on a battlefield. You forget that you're on a battlefield. You think you're on a beach.
This perhaps is the chavamina of the gerer rebbe, I think the Lev Simcha and Rav Shach, that nobody, they want to make a takana that no chaver knesset could sit more than 4 years.
Because they'll forget that it's a battlefield. And if it's not a battlefield, you're sitting there. So then there's this sakuna that we just said. Shem should help, the Mashiach should come b'karov, and this question shouldn't be relevant anymore. But the Torah that we said here, that's going to stay forever and ever. Long after the Knesset will sink in the ground and there won't be any parties and there won't be all this. But this piece of Torah will stay forever and ever.
Shakoach, Rabbi Kaplan.